L1 terminal fault is a security vulnerability that takes advantage of a feature called speculative execution. There are three varieties of this vulnerability, each potentially affecting multiple Intel processors. We expect the potential exposure to most consumer and enterprise users will be low, as the first two varieties can be mitigated with microcode and operating system updates available today. This means the best way for most users to stay protected is to apply the updates recommended by their operating system vendor or system manufacturer. The third variety of L1 terminal fault is a bit more complicated and potentially affects only a portion of the market, primarily a subset of data centers using a technology called virtualization. After applying updates, which are available starting today, it may be advisable for a subset of customers in this market to take additional steps to protect their systems. The microcode updates we released earlier this year, when coupled with operating system and hypervisor software updates released by our industry partners starting today, ensure consumers, IT professionals, and cloud service providers have access to the protections they need. Virtualization provides a way for multiple guest operating systems to run on the same machine. And while it can be used in many places, it is used principally in data centers, like those used to power cloud computing. This technology, managed by software known as a hypervisor, can make each server processor in a data center more flexible and efficient, because each server can perform many different types of tasks for many different requesters simultaneously. In some cases, virtualized systems also take advantage of a hardware technology called simultaneous multithreading, or SMT. SMT allows a single CPU core to act like two separate virtual processors to the hypervisor. These are called sibling threads. Intel hyperthreading technology is Intel's implementation of SMT. Processors that support SMT include a small pool of shared memory in each core known as the L1 cache. This L1 cache is shared by the two sibling threads we just mentioned. In certain virtualized environments, a guest running on one of those sibling threads and controlled by a bad actor might use sophisticated techniques to trigger a speculative operation targeting information in the other sibling that it doesn't have permission to see. Even though the system recognizes this isn't allowed and denies the bad actor's request, if the information they were looking for was coincidentally in the L1 cache, they may get a glimpse of that information. This sounds complicated, and it is. Even so, there are several ways to address this concern. First, we can ensure that all the guest operating systems running on a processor core have been updated with L1TF mitigations. This, in and of itself, prevents one sibling thread from attacking the other. It's again a great example of why it's so important to stay current with the latest recommended security updates. Second, microcode and hypervisor updates can periodically clear the information left in the L1 cache. This is called an L1 cache flush and removes information from that small pool of memory so that there is a smaller chance it can be seen by a bad actor on the sibling thread. In some cases, where it can't be guaranteed that all virtualized operating systems have been updated, some customers may choose to take additional actions. First, and coupled with the L1 cache flush, they can ensure that only trusted siblings have access to the same processor core. This capability is called core scheduling and is already supported by some hypervisors. If core scheduling isn't available and they suspect there might be potentially untrustworthy siblings sharing access to the L1 cache, it may be appropriate to take further action, like only allowing one thread to run per core. This demonstrates what would happen if SMT were disabled. While these actions might be applicable to a relatively small portion of the overall market, we think it's important to provide solutions for all our customers. Intel already had part of the solution in place, and through continued work with our worldwide industry partners, the balance is being made available starting today. As always, the best and most effective means to protect any computing system is to stay current with all recommended security updates.